Well now, EVO Awards just happened. Let's talk about it. Now for the record, I'm not gonna cover every little thing that happened at the EVO Awards because admittedly I didn't care about every little thing. Still, there is quite a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. So in case you don't know, for one reason or another, my attitude towards award shows is pretty just meh. Like with game awards more so, or game-based awards, I'm really just there for reveals. Really don't care that much about the awards. Still, there were moments where I was like, oh, good stuff. Like, if you recall the first episode, or episode 1 rather, because the first episode of the CRISTIANO Chronicles is actually episode 0. But in my post-EVO podcast, I did say that HEINLEIN was my highlight and my MVP from EVO. Like, again, I admire somebody who has infectious charisma and just a really fun aura about them, but can also really play. And that guy created some moments. I mean, if you look at the winners of the EVO Awards, I think he won the most. This is all to say that the award show for me actually was not that bad. Like, I wasn't blown away. I was expecting just to go in and be bored until like trailers would pop up, but it actually wasn't that bad. It might have had to do with the fact that I was watching a watch along with my homie Dokuro. And I mean, of course, I've told you all about when I've watched the Game Awards with Vault and his community. I do think that these types of shows can be more enjoyable when I'm watching them with friends and peers. But yeah, I actually enjoyed that a little bit more than I expected to. And also, I gotta give major respect to the EVO Awards because for me personally, unlike the Game Awards and even the DICE Awards, they actually acknowledged Under Night 2. They did nominate it for Fighting Game Release of the Year, which they didn't win, which is fine. I have no issue with Tekken 8 winning. Nothing at all. I'm not one of these people that's going to pretty much start a war over a game or somebody losing an award. It's whatever, okay? Now, I will admit that Under Night 2 is currently my favorite fighting game going right now, so that might kind of factor into my feelings here, but at the same time, I'm just glad they were finally acknowledged because, again, Game Awards, DICE Awards, like that was pitiful. Like for me, you didn't even have to give them the award, but it just is what it is. Also, in terms of awards, I do want to acknowledge another one that was kind of interesting to me, and maybe I might be analyzing things a little too much here, but it just kind of amused me. So, the award for Marketing Campaign of the Year. One of the nominees was the Cristiano Ronaldo Fatal Fury City of the Wolves promo. Now, I'm not saying that this didn't deserve to be there because it obviously caused a lot of hype, regardless of the fact that I am not personally into football, both of them. But even with that, I can't deny how popular Cristiano Ronaldo is. There's no denying that. My thing is, even to this day, we still don't know what his role is going to be in City of the Wolves. We still don't know like what type of role he's gonna play. There is more I want to say about that, but I'm going to save it for when we actually cover Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. First reveal that I want to talk about that caught my attention, we're going back to Under Night 2, OGRE. This is my birthday month, and when I saw that this character was going to drop in February, I was hype. Anything I can get for like my birthday month for fighting games, I'm hyped for it. Now, off the jump, I've already loved how this character looked. Loved his design. But as I always say, I always worry if I'm only going to admire a character cosmetically, but not in terms of playstyle. That wasn't the case here. This freaking character is awesome. Now, I've seen people likening him to Hazama, which is not a bad thing for me because I like Hazama. Terumi more so, but Hazama's also cool. I get the comparisons, but I look at OGRE as more of like a brutish Hazama. Like Hazama, at least fighting style wise, a lot of his stuff like looks kind of smooth and like pretty. Whereas, you know, there is some finesse when it comes to OGRE's animations and his movements, but this guy is brutish and I love it. Also, that theme music. Like, I'm happy. This character is dope. I can't wait to actually play him. Comes out the 20th of February, and like, this kind of reminds me of with BlazBlue how I have been wanting a character like Kokonoe to be playable. Because of course we first saw OGRE in Under Night In-Birth EXE latest. And I mean, of course he was in Uniclear, but he was non-playable in those. It was like little cameos. Now we finally got him. And before I forget, that Infinite Worth excess. I mean, look at this, like this is killer. I freaking love it. I am hyped for OGRE. I will reserve my final judgment for when I try the character out. I pre-ordered Under Night 2 on PS5, so get him for free. I love that incentive. We got one more character in this Under Night 2 season pass that will be coming in the fall of this year, or August specifically, with Izumi. And right off the bat, just looking at her again, I'm not really sold, but I said the same exact thing about Uzuki, and Uzuki quickly became one of my favorite fighting game characters, period. So Izumi could definitely surprise me. If Izumi turns out to be good for me, this right here is probably going to be my favorite season pass for a fighting game in the past while or so. Because literally, like, so far, everybody's pleased me thus far. The only downside was, and I mean, I guess you kind of, Kuon is cool, but Kuon was one of my favorites, but Kuon was just a bonus unlock if you pre-ordered. But as far as like the DLC characters, and I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be disappointing. I'll be shocked if that's the case. This Under Night pass right here is 2 for 2 with me. 2 for 2. Good job, Arxis. Next thing, I'm only gonna talk slightly about it, even though I'm not gonna really talk too much about the contents therein, just the presentation. The GRANBLUE Fantasy vs Rising Season 2. Now again, I am not hip to GRANBLUE Fantasy or its characters all that much, so I mean, I can tell you most of the characters I've seen, they look good, they're impressive. The thing I want to talk about with this is, I remember, I think when Vault was on my podcast, the whole debate and discussion about season passes with fighting games. Like, do you prefer to have everything revealed off the jump, or do you like the surprise of just keeping people on edge and revealing one by one, or maybe you might reveal 2 and have some mysteries down the line? It's just when they revealed this and they just revealed the full season, that just stood out to me a little bit there. Because me personally, I am a huge advocate of try before you buy, or in this case, I guess, I have to know before I put down the dough, you know, what are you gonna give me? And then that'll determine if I'll buy your whole season pass, buy it partially, so on and so forth. And, you know, I like a little bit of a surprise, you know, keeping people on edge, because of course, when you reveal things like, you know, characters in fighting games one by one, you know, people will be wondering, oh my God, who's the character? Like, people will come back for more unless like they just stop caring. I mean, you look at the Under Night 2 season pass, they did that. Street Fighter 6 has done that with its 2 season passes. Mortal Kombat 1 did that. But then of course you still have those like with Tekken 8, and then even City of the Wolves that are still playing the surprise game. This is all to say that just randomly in my mind, when I saw that GRANBLUE Fantasy vs Rising had its whole entire season 2 revealed, I'm kind of seeing a shift more towards just revealing the whole season now with these fighting games. Maybe I'm the only one that felt that way, but it's just something I randomly thought about. Again, like I said earlier, I am not hip to this franchise or its characters, but again, I do think they all look cool. And when I say all, I mean all 5 of these characters. I'd say probably Meg and Wilness are probably the 2 that kind of jump out at me the most, but I don't see any characters here that look boring, dumb, stupid, dry. Again, GRANBLUE has some really nicely designed characters. It's just I'm not into RPGs all that much, so... If you by chance are into GRANBLUE, let me know what you think of this season pass. Do you like the characters they're in? Do you like the fact they revealed them all right now? Do you like surprises? Let me know what you think about this in the comments. And now, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. Once again, I keep saying it, SNK has been coming with it when it comes to marketing this game. Like, of course, we didn't just get reveals, but we even got a pretty good exhibition at the EVO Awards, which that was also a nice touch to the event. You know, reliving some of the old school with MVC2 and of course getting a little bit of the new and upcoming with Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. I like that. So, another heavily teased, heavily hinted character has finally been formally, officially revealed for this game. KAIN R. HEINLEIN. And yes, it is KAIN. Don't even start with me. If you played Mark of the Wolves, you heard them call this guy KAIN R. HEINLEIN. I don't want to hear anything from anybody else on that matter. SNK made the character. Argue with SNK, argue with your mama, do not argue with me. Also, at the time of recording, it's February the 16th. That's KAIN's birthday. SNK is something else, man. We all knew it was coming for one reason or another. We actually saw KAIN in one of the earliest teasers for this game alongside Rock Howard and Billy. We heard his voice in the soundbite trailer that came out a couple Evos ago. And of course, if you played Mark of the Wolves, it was pretty obvious he was going to be a key part of this story as well in this game. Speaking of story, his bio revealed a little something. A young idealist burning with ambition. Having torn through the numerous hostile organizations around Southtown, KAIN makes an unsettling discovery. His older sister Marie is being held captive by one of them. So with all that distrust surrounding KAIN, he was actually telling the truth, that Marie is still alive. Wow. Continuing on, knowing that his will alone cannot right this wrong, he joins forces with Rock Howard to secure her release. A twist of fate, a dream for the future. With unwavering resolve, KAIN directs his attention to the upcoming KOF tournament, hoping to return Marie to safety at last. Again, wow. This trailer was pretty much what I expected. I've always looked at KAIN as a very impressive character, not to mention looking at that trailer and then like if you watch the exhibition that followed not long after, he already looks strong. I don't say broken, but he looks strong. Also, his super that closed out the trailer is probably my favorite one that I've seen in game so far. I couldn't make out what he said. I could make out the Himmlisch, which means heaven in German, but I could make out the rest, but that right there just that was a phenomenal super right there. Again, probably my favorite one that I've seen thus far. Initially, my favorite super that I saw in this game was Vox Reapers, but KAIN just took the top spot there. Also, now that I'm looking at the trailer, KAIN does have his own stage, and while it looks glorious, that does not look like Geese Tower. Because I know some people had suggested that maybe he would have Geese Tower, and I mean, I get that, I kind of like the idea, but as we've seen here, that does not seem to be the case. The closer and closer we draw to the end of what I call the reveal season, I'm starting to just think that we might have to accept the inevitable in that we're gonna see Geese again. We're gonna see him. Which, you know what? I don't mind it. I've said it before, I don't mind it. If we can just make him Nightmare Geese, cool. Cool. Don't pull a Street Fighter 6, don't pull a Tekken 8. Nightmare Geese. That's all I gotta say. Sticking with the topic of KAIN, both of my predictions for the playable characters in the betas were wrong because neither of my predictions had him in it. I love what SNK is doing with this game, man. Like, I was not expecting this to happen, but I guess to be fair, with the second KOF 15 open beta, they had just revealed Cronin and he was a part of that beta. So it's happened before, but I like that. In addition to KAIN R. HEINLEIN, the Fatal Fury City of the Wolves open beta test roster will consist of Terry Bogard, Mai Shiranui, Rock Howard, Hotaru Futaba, High Winter, Preacha, B. Jenny, and Vox Reaper. While two of my top three being Mai, Vox, and T-Zoc, two of them are in this beta, but I could actually see myself playing around with this roster. Everybody here is pretty cool, but those two I'm definitely going to look in on right there. I'm looking forward to a lot of KAIN when this gets started. I'm just looking forward to that, but of course the beta is going to begin February 20th. Oh my God, that is going to be, I gotta make room. I gotta make space for February 20th. because the beta starts that day, and not to mention, of course, OGRE releases that day in Under Night 2. I am going to have a packed and stacked February 20th, but hey, thank you, SNK and Arc System Works for the birthday presents. I appreciate it. Moving right along, you know what we're gonna talk about here. You already know what we're about to close this out with, because despite the fact they revealed this officially at the EVO Awards, we knew about this much earlier. Well, not much earlier, just earlier. Season Pass 1 of Fatal Fury City of the Wolves has been officially revealed. Now, before I get to that, because I know I got a couple of new subscribers, which by the way, thank you. Glad to have you. In case you don't know, I do not cover leaks on here when they leak. That sounded funny. I don't cover leaks. Like, for one, I don't like leaks. I don't like them at all. Again, far as I'm concerned, when it comes to official reveals with DLC, if you want to play the hype game where you reveal one by one and just keep the hype going and the mystery going, cool. If you reveal the whole thing on the spot, like Under Night 2, like GRANBLUE Fantasy vs Rising did, that's cool too. I don't like the leaks. I can't stand spoilers of anything. If you don't mind them, that's cool. But once again, two things. Number one, just because you can do something does not mean you should. And number two, just because something doesn't bother you does not mean it doesn't bother someone else. I could cap this off by saying be more considerate, but ain't nobody gonna listen to that. Another reason I don't like leaks is that a lot of people take advantage of the leaking culture. That sounds weird. But anyways, people take advantage of this whole leaking sensation that happens in the digital age, and a lot of it is just fake and is just done for engagement. Now, while I don't consider myself a news channel when it comes to fighting games, I do try to operate within the realms of integrity to the best of my ability. This is all to say that a lot of those leaks are usually fake. For example, that one Mortal Kombat leaker that claimed that we were going to get Jade on the main roster of Mortal Kombat 1. It didn't happen. The alleged leaker that said that we were going to get Kisara Westfield in King of Fighters 15 when it turned out to be Hinako Shijo. That's the stuff I'm talking about. I would much rather wait for something to be formally and officially announced. That's just me. I don't care what any other creator does. This is no shade to them. This is just what I do. You don't like it, that's on you. Also, given the last time that I polled my audience about things like this, it seems like most folks don't like the leaks either, so I've just shied away from it. This is all to say, this is the reason why I didn't make any video, comments, posts talking about this leak. That's just that. But nevertheless, we can talk about it now because it's been formally revealed. Season Pass 1 of Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. We knew about Ken, we knew about Chun, and now Andy Bogard, Joe Higashi, which by the way, as of my last prediction video, my official one,
called it.
I'm gonna get back to that. And then the last character, it is Big Son himself, Mr. Big. I always think about the American hard rock band that's popular in Japan whenever I think of Mr. Big. I think Mr. Big, the character, might have been inspired and named after the band, because I know Mr. Big, the band, got big. Oh my god. Their whole run of being big in Japan started in the 80s, and Art of Fighting came out in 92, if I'm not mistaken, so might be a possibility. It could be something else. I just thought about that. But I actually do enjoy the band Mr. Big a whole bunch. Those of you that are anime fans may recognize the ending theme of Hellsing being one of their songs called Shine, which is also another really good song. But getting back to SNK's Mr. Big, I did not formally and officially predict him, but I did point to him when I revisited this whole stage theory that Ruffelmonger and other people have been propagating. And I took a look, of course, at the locations that were highlighted in the Fatal Fury City of the Wolves EVO trailer from some years ago. One of those locations just so happened to be the factory, and albeit there is not like a factory stage in like Fatal Fury, there is one from one of the shared universes with AOF, and that stage is associated with Mr. Big. So That was a nice surprise. I mean, it would make sense that Mr. Big would be around. I've always, as a matter of fact, I think I said this when I talked about the whole factory stage and the connection with Mr. Big. I could see him trying to take advantage of things in Southtown now that Geese is out of the way. You know, so it's going to be interesting seeing what role he's going to play, especially given all that we know about with KAIN now. But yeah, that was quite a nice surprise there with Mr. Big. It's just too bad we're gonna have to wait until next year to get him, but it is what it is. As I mentioned, once they were officially revealed, I'm actually cool with Ken and Chun being in this game. I totally thought it was gonna be Ryu and somebody else, maybe even Luke, because Capcom, you know, say what you want to say, but whether you like Luke or whether you don't like Luke, I think Luke is actually pretty cool now. They are trying to push that guy. They are getting behind him far as like him being the protagonist. They are pushing him. But I'm glad that, you know, Capcom SNK kind of came to an agreement there. And I mean, it makes sense. Of course, they talk about how, you know, Terry is a key character in this game. And of course, when it comes to the crossovers, him and Ken interact all the time. Mai is in here and, you know, Mai, Chun-Li makes sense. I've seen some people that said that they were disappointed that they really didn't play up the Chun-Li Mai rivalry all that much in Street Fighter 6. So perhaps this might be the place for it. You know, who knows? Oh, in the case of Andy and Joe, maybe it's just because both of those are characters that I am ambivalent about, but I really don't get why people are thinking that it's scummy that they're DLC or they have a problem with it. Again, I had to be reminded that this was not the typical DLC packaging that we're used to in fighting games. This is not a matter of, you know, well, you know, it's got to be people that somebody want to buy and da-da-da-da-da. It's like, no, it's packaged together. You know, they're not exactly main roster, but it's basically free DLC. Like, it's in essence free DLC. You buy the game, you're going to get these characters regardless. Like, the only thing is you just have to wait. That's really just it. And like I said, I am ambivalent about Andy and Joe, quite frankly. I don't hate them, really. It's just I don't really care for them all that much. I find their apprentices, Hokutomaru and Preacha, much more interesting. Matter of fact, I know some people kind of found it dorky how Joe Higashi is wearing glasses. I mean, given his apprentice, just saying, might have had an influence on him. Even though I don't care that much for Joe, I almost feel like if they play it up like in the story mode or whatever it might be, wherever they get a chance to present story, I feel like the interactions and the relationship with him and Preacha is going to be interesting and probably very comical too. I'm looking forward to that. But again, you're going to get them. I don't get the big deal with this, honestly. Oh, it's Fatal Fury. How are they DLC? Andy and Joe, far as like new age Fatal Fury, in other words, from Garo onward, they're not really central characters. Like SNK really tried to push their new generation when Garo Mark of the Wolves came out. I mean, Terry was like the only returning Fatal Fury original in the original Garo Mark of the Wolves. If that doesn't tell you that they were going to push a new generation, I don't know what will. I like the fact that we do have more of a mishmash of old and new school in this game. But at the same time, people have to understand that this game, storyline wise, is going to be more new school centered. The main primary narrative / story here, it belongs to Rock, it belongs to KAIN, two new school characters. Terry is there because number one, it's freaking Terry, and number two, he's going to continue to further help Rock get over. He's going to be a killer support character and is going to be that bridge between the old school and new school, which is definitely going to be a thing, especially if Geese pops back up. Same thing with Mai, same thing with Billy. They done pushed Billy to like a new height at this point. See what I'm saying? So I don't really get the, I'm not gonna call it outrage. I'm not gonna overestimate anything. It's just, again, I said, maybe I feel this way because I'm just ambivalent about Joe and Andy. Looking at this season pass, only 3 of the 5 characters intrigue me, Ken, Chun, and Mr. Big, but who knows. Now with that being said, now that they're confirmed for DLC, that brings us back to the main roster. With KAIN officially revealed being number 14, that means we have 3 slots left. Now, looking at the latest edition, the latest version of my prediction board, the 3 characters that have yet to be revealed, far as comparing it to what I have on my board, we have Kim Jae-hoon, we have Freeman, and we have Maru. Of those 3, the biggest lock is Maru. We heard his voice in the soundbite trailer from a couple Evos ago. And you know what? Seeing that he obviously sounds a lot more mature compared to when we saw him, I could totally understand why they would save him for a later reveal, because it's gonna be really cool seeing how he looks. Like, I'm expecting something, not exactly crazy, but something that's going to be like, oh wow. But again, like I said, he's a total lock. I know one thing that I mentioned in my predictions was I could see them pulling off a master and student type of dynamic with the playable characters. Because of course, you got Terry, Rock, obvious lock. With Mai and Andy now being confirmed, you got Maru, and even Joe himself has an apprentice in Preacher. In my opinion, this is how you can smoothly get more new generation characters over, as opposed to just smack right there, just bang, on the spot. Just Preacher is gonna carry the mantle. Maru is gonna carry it. Even though Maru, Rock Howard have of course been around longer than Preacher, but still. I just always found that to be a really strong way and a better, more effective way of getting your new generations over, by having the old school there to support and help them. And not to mention, keep old school players engaged, and maybe, just maybe, through said connections, it might gauge more interest in them from, of course, old school players that are very much rooted in their classics. You know, some people are stubborn about that, but that's just how I see it. When it comes to Kim Jae-hoon, I don't really have, I guess, the strongest basis for it, aside from the fact it's like, I mean, why have one and not the other? But if you've been keeping up with my prediction series, you'll know that I also brought up an example of when the Samurai Showdown Kazama brothers, those two were separated in different season passes. So it could definitely happen here. I know a lot of people don't want that. They don't really see any logic in waiting for a season 2 for Kim Jae-hoon, but I don't know. Am I gonna remove him from the board now? No. Granted, he might not be in the same realm of storyline importance like Rock, Terry, and KAIN are. I don't see Kim Jae-hoon as a non-essential character. I know some people are just thinking like, oh, we can have one Taekwondo rep and everything. No. The Kim bros here are not moveset clones of each other just because they both do Taekwondo. They are very distinct characters. So I'll still keep Kim Jae-hoon there. Another reason why, and I'm kind of entertaining that whole stage thing again, but when Kim Dong-hwan was revealed, we didn't see a unique stage for him. His stage was Rock's stage. I do think that Kim Jae-hoon, when he's revealed, we are also going to see the stage associated with the Kim bros, and I'm pretty sure in that trailer, it's going to be Kim Jae-hoon mostly whooping his older brother, so off of that alone, Kim Jae-hoon stays. And then, of course, there is the matter of Freeman. Of these 3 characters that have not been revealed that are on my prediction board, I think Freeman has the least going on for him. Because really all we've got is just, far as solid evidence of him being around, is just a mention in Kevin's story. And of course, that storyline did kind of end on a cliffhanger. But still though, that's basically all I can say for him. I could sit there and say that he's an essential character in like the Garo age of Fatal Fury, but I don't find that to be the strongest argument for him, if you know what I mean. Because if we're simply just gonna go off the logic of, ooh, he was mentioned in another person's bio, does that mean Sokaku is gonna be in here? Because Sokaku got a mention in Mai's bio. So what's up there? And with that being said, going back to something that I had talked about a little bit earlier in this video, this is where I feel like this whole Cristiano Ronaldo thing needs to be brought back. Because again, there has to be something significant with this collaboration for SNK to put out something like this, and yet there's been so much time that has passed and we still don't know what his role is going to be. Again, I don't know that much about football. I'm not really into football, both forms of it by the way, but no doubt that this guy, Cristiano Ronaldo, is hella popular. So why not save him for like a big reveal towards the end of the road to reveals, or whatever you want to call it, with this game? Why not save some character towards the end that represents him? It's just, it mind boggles me as to what that character or who that character would be. Like, from what I've seen, like, the guy, Cristiano Ronaldo, just excels in, like, just the football aspect. Anybody that watches this that's a fan of him that knows more than me, please do not hesitate to educate me in the comments. It's just, what is this guy going to do with City of the Wolves? Like, what type of character is it? Is it going to be like a throwback to the sports team in KOF or something? Because I mean, like, I know just because he's known for football doesn't mean he can't be good at the other things, you know, but I just draw a blank on what is his involvement going to be? What is it going to be? Like, like, I would partially also think that perhaps it'll be something more cosmetically based, like, for instance, how they got Thea Trinidad / Selena Vega to do commentary in Street Fighter 6. Like, is he gonna do something like that? I don't know, man. I'm just drawing a blank on that. Maybe if I knew more about him, I could maybe make more of a straight up solid prediction, but I don't know. If I feel something funny with this CR7. I'm sorry I'm giggling so much. I'm just sensing something very weird coming from this collaboration. Not saying it's bad or good, just something weird. But that's all I really got for this one. All in all, EVO Awards and the reviews are pretty good, pretty hype. SNK came with it again. I can't wait to try OGRE. February 20th is going to be a buster of a day. But let me all know what you thought. Like, what from the EVO Awards did you like the most? Was it some of the awards? Was it reveals? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, I am the Chris Lotus, signing off. You all take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Be safe out there, be cool to each other, and stay cool by staying hydrated, because pretty sure it's about to start getting hot, depending on where you are in the world. Y'all take care. See ya.